Hello everybody. Today is Would You Eat It Wednesday, and today's topic is going to be yogurt. Would you eat it? Would you not? A lot of people put yogurt in the healthy food category. It's got this reputation as being something that's super healthy for us, and people put it in there and will actually vaunt this, when they're explaining to me, I'm eating healthy foods, and yogurt is always one of those things that's in the list right there as proof that I'm eating healthy stuff. But is it really healthy? Well, let's dive in here, okay? The first thing you need to know is that yogurt comes from milk, okay? So the first thing we need is a good source of milk. And I did an entire video on milk already, so if you need to go to YouTube and review that one, it's there for you waiting on my YouTube page. That being said, organic matters when it comes to this, okay? So an organic cow that's been feeding on grass, that's been out in the pasture in the sun and doing its thing, that is a different cow than a cow that's been living in a cage, standing in its own feces, getting an unnatural diet, and getting a lot of synthetic hormones and all kinds of stuff added to it, okay? So different cows produce different kinds of milk. One is healthy, one is not. And a lot of times we're getting those factory cows in the milk that's available in these, products that we're more familiar with. Some of the name brands we'll go into in this video here, okay? So the first thing we need is a good source of milk. And really, only one other thing. We need a starter culture. Those are the only two ingredients you need to make milk, or to make yogurt. Milk, good source of milk, and a starter culture. So you can actually make it on your own, and people do this in some instances. I haven't ventured down this road yet because I don't have a connection to a good milk farmer yet that I trust and know that the cows are being raised correctly. So yogurt has not been a staple in my diet for this reason. Another thing that we want to look for, fat content, okay? So you'll see on almost every yogurt label as you go down the aisle, it's low fat, no fat, no fat. All the fat has been removed. And we vaunt this as being, this spectacular thing. We got rid of the fat. But fat is healthy for you. Fat is a good thing. So they stripped one of the healthy components out of there, which usually means they added something else in. And usually that thing is sugar and natural flavors and artificial preservatives and all that other stuff, okay? So this is what we're dealing with here, okay? So we started with a product that could be good, yogurt, milk and starter culture, and it's going to devolve as we start to take away the fat, as we start to take away, as we start to pasteurize it, heat it up, and denature it, and get rid of all the beneficial enzymes that were in there to start with. So these are some of the things that they do to get yogurt on that shelf for you and put it out there as this, epic health food. So let's start picking on some brands here. Let's dive in and talk about Gogurt, okay? So you've all seen the little tubes and the commercials for Gogurt. You tear off the top, you pop it in the mouth, you give it to the kids, you think you're doing a good thing for them. Gogurt is horrible, okay? Gogurt uses pasteurized low-fat milk, so that's a heated milk that's had the fat pretty much removed from it. They add sugar, they add cornstarch, which is a genetically modified ingredient, synthetic vitamins. They've got carrageenan in there, which is a inflammatory substance. Some sources say it may be carcinogenic, cancer-causing ingredient. However, that's not totally been proven. However, we do know for the most part that it does cause inflammation, not a good thing. So you've also got natural flavors in there, which we know is code for special ingredients, basically secret ingredients, whatever we want it to be, so we don't have to tell you what natural flavors are. And finally, you've got yellow number 5 and red number 40, and these are some of the things that you find in your little Gogurt sucky tube of liquid nastiness, okay? So this is something you want to watch out for. There are 8 grams of sugar in one 56-gram tube of Gogurt. That equals 1/7 of that container being just sugar, okay? So it's a lot of sugar in there, and they market it to who? Kids. This is what we want the kids eating, right? So this is a way that we can give them a healthy treat at lunch and make it fun for them and exciting, and we'll market it to them with characters like the Avengers, and we'll put SpongeBob on the box, and we'll put Frozen characters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. These are the tricks they use to try and trick kids to tug on your shirt while you're at the grocery store and say, I want that one, I want that one. Put it in the cart, throw it in there. You don't want the temper tantrum. You think this is an easy snack, maybe even healthy. However, this is basically toxicity for your kids, okay? This is nothing but nastiness, gross, 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 okay? So, on the topic of Gogurt, Gogurt is a sub-company of Yoplait, something that we may be a little more familiar with. Yoplait, another yogurt company, or actually the same yogurt company, which is also a sub-company of General Mills. General Mills has brought us such product as Frosted Flakes and Lucky Charms and other great products like that. But somehow they got into Yoplait and they cornered themselves as a health product, okay? So again, we're always having the wool pulled over our eyes a little bit. So they slap things like low fat on the label. They put, you know, these fit women on the commercials eating the yogurt, and, you know, oh, this is good for me. This is going to help me get in shape. This means I'm taking care of my body. No, no, no. Yoplait has basically the same ingredients as Gogurt, okay? So they just rebranded one product and marketed one to adults, marketed one to kids. Smart advertising, still not a good product for you. In fact, since you're an adult, they figured you could handle more sugar in your product. They've got 18 grams of sugar. Remember, there was 8 grams in a Gogurt tube, 18 grams of sugar in one original strawberry Yoplait. You've got 10 grams of sugar in the light, quote unquote, light peach. You've got 21 grams of sugar in one of those whips products that they have, and 28 grams of sugar, whopping 28 grams in the thick and creamy vanilla, which, you know, if you didn't know any better, maybe you think you're eating something good. Unfortunately, not the case, once again, okay? Moving on here, I want to talk about some other brands, but they've all been evaluated, okay? There's a company called the Cornucopia Institute who went out of its way and found like every yogurt brand they could find. They evaluated them on a scale of points from 0 to 1700, and they ranked them all on a list. So I'm going to give you some of the high ones and some of the lower ones so that you have maybe an idea of what you want to shy away from and maybe what you might want to try at the store next time, okay? So the Cornucopia Institute, before I dive in on the brands, has filed an FDA complaint with the FDA about yogurt qualifications. So they've got this with cheese already. So if you take a product like Velveeta, quote unquote cheese, Velveeta cheese product, they can't call it cheese on the label. That is not allowed because there's certain classifications. It is Velveeta, and you will see down in fine print, cheese-like product, because they're not allowed to call it cheese. The Cornucopia Institute is saying that yogurt should have the same, you know, lawful application to it, okay? So there's a lot of yogurt products that should not qualify as actual yogurt. This is fake food, guys, fake food, and the supermarket is running rampant with it. So, Cornucopia Institute, let's start with some of the good ones, okay? So, 5-spoon rating, you'd think a 5-star, but this is 5-spoon because you use it for yogurt, right? 5-spoon rating goes to Maple Hill yogurt. That's one of the ones that maybe you've heard of, maybe is in some stores somewhere. So Maple Hill is a product where they use 100% grass-fed, pasteurized, non-homogenized whole milk, okay? I would prefer that it's not pasteurized, but that's a pretty decent source of milk for what you can get on the market. It's got live yogurt cultures, and those are the only 2 ingredients, that one source of milk from grass-fed cows and live yogurt cultures. So that's the way yogurt's supposed to be done. So hats off to Maple Hill for trying to do this the right way. And there's a bunch of other creameries that did get 5-spoon reviews from the Cornucopia Institute, okay? So you probably haven't heard of most of those creameries. What you have heard of is some of the 2-spoon and 1-spoon brands. So for instance, Oikos, okay? Oikos has the Greek yogurt, so they get 400 points out of 1700. That's good for only a 2-spoon rating. This is a fail. You do not want to be eating any Oikos, I'm sorry to say. I know you think the Greek is good. We'll talk about that a little more. Activia, you know, the one with the probiotics where Jamie Lee Curtis is eating her yogurt and telling you how good it is to make you poop and that kind of stuff. That is false. They got a 200 out of 1700, a measly 200 points, so that was still somehow good for a 2-spoon qualification, but 200 points is also equal to Chuck E. Cheese brand yogurt squeezers. Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese has their own squeezer that tries to, I guess, compete with Gogurt or something like that, but it's the same. You're eating Gogurt, Chuck E. Cheese, Activia, Oikos, they're all on the same level, okay? It gets worse though, okay? 1-spoon ratings went out to Yoplait, which we already talked about, 175 points out of 1700, and finally Dannon is the worst of the worst, 50 points out of 1700. So I'm sure this is one of the ones that Cornucopia Institute is saying this should not even be allowed to be called yogurt. And this is one of the ones I ate back in the day. The fruit on the bottom yogurt, Dannon, I used to eat that all the time. I thought that was a good thing. I thought that was healthy. No, no, no. Cannot do any worse than Dannon pretty much, okay? So Dannon is down on the list. So what do we have as alternatives? Well, you can make your own. Once again, you need a good milk source, so find your farmer out there somewhere. You need a starter culture. Those 2 things, you can make yogurt, look it up online, you'll figure out the process. Forager cashew yogurt, okay? So this is a name brand, Forager. This is cashew based, so they forego, so you can do an alternative to not using milk at all. So again, I gave you the 5-spoon rating ones, I gave you the option to make your own with milk. Now we're talking alternatives to milk altogether. So you've got cashew yogurt from a brand like Forager, which does pretty good when you do the plain unsweetened one. However, they do have some flavored ones that have natural flavors added, have added sugars, 12 grams for just the wild blueberry flavor. So maybe stick to your plain unsweetened if you're trying to stay strict with your diet, that kind of thing. Kite Hill is another brand that I was asked to evaluate. Kite Hill is an almond yogurt brand, so almond based is what they used to get in there. Plain unsweetened again is not bad. However, if you get something like their flavored key lime flavor, it has 17 grams of sugar. That's a whopping amount of sugar, so something you want to watch out for. There are coconut based yogurts that you can try, and one of the tricks that I use is chia seed pudding. So you take chia seeds, put it in a bowl, you add water, you mix it up, the chia jellifies and gives you kind of a tapioca texture, and so that's one of the things that I like to use as a snack. So that's one of my go-to snacks. Yogurt, however, is not one of my go-to snacks because I don't really find much at the store that I'm too happy about, okay? So, all that being said, how to choose a good yogurt. Oh, I did want to say one more thing about Greek yogurt. You know, the difference between Greek yogurt and regular yogurt, basically they say there's more protein, but also what they do is they separate out the whey. So that's another way that they just separate it out. So we think Greek yogurt is somehow better. Greek yogurt is not better. They took the whey out of it through a filtering process, so more processing it goes through to remove whey, which, by the way, bodybuilders go out of their way to go to GNC and pay for big tubs of whey. So I don't know that the Greek yogurt did you any favors there. They claim they've got more protein, but they usually add that protein through a milk concentrate source. Not very good either. So all those of you who think Greek yogurt was the exception to the rule, sorry to tell you, not the case. So that's basically it, guys. How do you choose a good yogurt? You start with a good milk. You have to go organic. You don't want a conventional milk, okay? You want full fat milk whenever possible. Don't remove the fat. The fat is good. And you got to watch out for all those additives. They use the thickeners, the stabilizers, the carrageenan. You don't want that in there. Artificial sweeteners, added sugar, artificial colors, synthetic nutrients, milk protein concentrate, and preservatives are all things you want to watch out for on your yogurt selection, okay? So that's the Skinny on Milk. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. If you got questions, let me know in the comments. I will see you next Would You Eat It Wednesday. Thanks for watching.